Hi everyone, I'm Justisa and welcome to Dark History of Sweden. Today we are going to talk about an institution. But this one comes with a horrific experiment that shook Sweden to its core. But first we will dig into Vipeholm Institution. If you like my content, make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss a video. Just it is really freaking hot in Sweden right now, or at least in my apartment. So if you hear a weird like airplane fan noise, I have a fan right there because I am sweating like crazy. Just so you know. Vipeholm is an area in eastern Lund, Skåne. It takes about 20 minutes to go there from the central station of Lund. I do want to warn you, it is a school today in the middle of a residential area. You are allowed to wander around and look, but people will wonder why you are there. Moving on to when the institution began its work. In 1930, the government issued the need of a special hospital for the difficult to care for mentally retarded men. That is, by the way, a quote from the Swedish National Archive. It was decided and a contract was signed to use the Southern Skåne Infantry Regiment's barracks area in Vipeholm for the construction of a state special hospital with a country-wide catchment area. In 1931, the Mental Illness Act of 1929 went into force and deals with admission and care of the insane and mentally retarded according to the terminology of the time, today corresponding to mentally ill and developmentally disabled. October 1st, 1935, Vipeholm opened its doors with 2 pavilions and 612 care places. It quickly fills up those care places because of the need of getting rid of the difficult to treat mentally retarded from the mental asylums and nursing homes. Already in 1936, they started accepting minors. And in 1937, a new pavilion for women opened up with 150 care places. By 1939, there were 70 patients under the age of 17. The most common diagnoses for the patients that were taken in was mental retardation as well as epileptic insanity. There were approximately 100 male healthcare staff and 30 female healthcare staff, which increased to 70 when the women's pavilion opened. The staff all went through a basic course for healthcare personnel. From the day they got into the institution and their therapy started, they also started employment therapy for those who were deemed able to do some kind of work, for example, kitchen work or agriculture work. From 1939, the admits were divided into 7 different levels of mental development. 0 to 3 were those deemed to be close to pure monsters. 4 to 6 were those who were deemed to have prerequisites for mental development. They called this idiota levis. The majority were classified to be within the levels of 0 and 3. During the Second World War, a large portion of the male staff was called in, which led to mass employment of untrained substitutes. A period of high mortality began in 1940. This year, the average life expectancy is said to be 39 years. In 1945, in collaboration with St. Laws, they began to provide higher education to qualify as superintendents. In the same year, the Medical Board's Odontological Research Station was established in Vipeholm. And patients and some of the staff became the representative sample for the scientific investigation of the connection between carbohydrates and caries. We will talk more about the horrific nature of these experiments next week, so make sure you are subscribed and hit that bell so you don't miss it. In 1948, lobotomy and experiments with glutamic acid treatment began. This year, there are 35 children under the age of 15 among the 870 admitted. The trend is towards an increasing shortage of care places in the country. For Vipeholm, this means a changing number of overcrowding and rising expectant pressure. In the 1950s, they established a new pavilion for women. In connection with this, a provisional children's ward with 60 care places opened. Expectant pressure and the number of overcrowding steadily increased and reached its peak in 1957, with upwards of 1,000 incarcerated. Above all, it is the women's pavilion that is at risk, as there is a greater opportunity to transfer male patients to, for example, Skjellhagens and Västra Ny hospitals. The workload for the staff is getting heavier, as it is the mentally more developed patients who are being transferred, and the premises are proving increasingly inadequate. The news in psychopharmaceuticals, for example, Hibernal, Sebrasil, and Nozinon, make their way in as a treatment and are said to give good results. The use of restraints is reduced and the work environment becomes more manageable. Another novelty is the television, which was installed in 1958 and is said to have good effects on the patients. At the beginning of the 1960s, the staff was increased and a number of department assistants were hired to free up healthcare staff for healthcare work. In 1961, a psychology department opened, and the following year, you got the opportunity to perform EEG examinations. During the 1960s, a new view of the developmentally disabled's opportunity and rights began to take shape. In the new law concerning the care of certain mentally retarded persons, a distinction is made for the first time between mentally ill and the mentally retarded, and retardation in intellectual development may not itself constitute as a basis for admission. The CARE Act came into force in 1968 and advocates integration in the social and human environment, decentralization to the immediate environment of the hometown, and the principle of small group. According to the 1966 Mental Health Care Agreement, Vipeholm becomes a regional hospital with a catchment area that includes Kronoberg, Blekinge, Kristianstad, Malmöhus, and Halland counties, as well as Malmö city. According to the same agreement, Malmöhus läns landsting is to take over the state mental hospitals, and for Vipeholm, the end date is set for 1st of January 1970 for this takeover. The development is now moving towards a reduced occupancy through relocation to other forms of accommodation and gradual repatriation of out-of-region patients. Vipeholm will be the last of the state mental hospitals to be handed over to the county councils. In connection with this, the state undertakes to build 9 new pavilions, which will be completed in 1972. The plan is to reduce long-term care and increase throughput by emphasizing outpatient care, short-term care, and emergency care. During the 1970s, the older building was also modernized, and a new financial center was inaugurated. The year 1982, Vipeholm became a nursing home. During the 1980s, the patients continued to move home and move out. And in 1993, the nursing home closed. Since the closing of the nursing homes, some of the buildings have been demolished and others have been remade into a school. Like I've said in previous videos, Sweden likes to preserve and reuse its old buildings. That was all I had on Vipeholms Institution. It was a lot of information, but I got a hold of the official documents and got way too excited. I tried to shorten it and made it easy to follow along. I really hope I succeeded in that and that you enjoyed the video. Make sure that you like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss a video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself and each other, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be about the experiments at Vipeholm. And trust me, you want to hear this. It is crazy. Bye!